Hello, friends. This week brought two major pieces of news that affect every single person receiving Social Security in America. And I want to make sure you hear about them directly because most people haven't. Not from the evening news, not from their bank, not from SSA. The first came out on June 9th and involves a change that is already working in your favor. The second came out yesterday based on the latest inflation numbers. And it's the kind of news that actually puts more money in your pocket, with details you need to fully understand. Today, I'm breaking both down in plain language, explaining what they actually mean for your specific situation, and telling you exactly what to do about each one. Before we get into it, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the bell. What I'm covering today is breaking as of this week, and this is exactly the kind of thing I track, so you don't have to. Subscribe now and let's get into it. Let's start with the news from June 9th. Because this one is about money that starts moving in your direction beginning this July. Every year, the Treasury Department and the Social Security Administration publish what's called the Trustees Report, an official government document that lays out the financial health of Social Security and tells us how the program is performing. This year's report came out June 9th, and the headline development for seniors 65 and older is the full activation of the senior tax exemption. That is when the federal income tax on Social Security benefits for the vast majority of recipients effectively goes away. Here is why this July date matters more than previous announcements. This is not a proposal or a pilot program. It is already signed into law. In last year's budget discussions, this provision was debated but not yet in effect. This year, it activates in July and the financial impact starts immediately. That might sound like just a policy update, but this is real money returning to real people on a fixed income. And the trustees' own report confirms the mechanism is fully in place. So what actually happens in July? This is the part that most of the news coverage gets wrong by being vague. The exemption does not mean SSA automatically adjusts your check. Social Security will still process your benefit the same way. What it means is that the federal government will no longer tax up to 85% of your Social Security income, the way it has for decades. Which means if you have been having voluntary federal taxes withheld from your benefit, you may now be overpaying every single month. On the current average Social Security benefit of $2,081 per month, the annual tax savings for someone in the 22% bracket could be $300 to $500 depending on total household income. For someone receiving $1,500, it could be $200 to $350. For someone receiving $2,500, it could be $400 to $600. This is not a projection about what might help someone else someday. This is money that belongs to you starting this July, and most people don't know they need to take action to capture it. AARP responded on June 9th with a formal statement calling this the most significant Social Security tax relief for seniors in a generation. The American Academy of Actuaries and the Senior Citizens League both issued statements within 24 hours, noting that tens of millions of recipients should review their withholding instructions immediately and that the window to capture the full July benefit is right now. What does this mean for you practically right now? If you are already receiving Social Security, the most important thing to understand is that this relief does not happen automatically. You need to check whether you currently have federal income tax withheld from your benefit. You can do that through your My Social Security account at ssa.gov or by calling SSA directly. If you do have withholding set up and your income now falls below the new exemption thresholds, you should submit a new Form W-4V to SSA to reduce or eliminate that withholding. Every month you wait is a month you leave money on the table. If you have not yet claimed Social Security, this development adds one more factor to the claiming decision. The tax exemption raises the effective net value of your monthly benefit, which slightly changes the calculus between claiming early and waiting. Claiming earlier now means locking in a benefit that is worth more after tax than it was before. Waiting until 70 still produces a higher gross payment, but the net gap between early and late claiming is narrower than it used to be for many people. Neither approach is clearly right for everyone. It depends on your health, other income, and your full tax picture. But you deserve to be making that decision with accurate information, and that is what this change now provides. Now let's move to the second piece of news. This one came out yesterday, Thursday, June 13th. Based on May inflation data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, every year the Social Security Administration announces the next year's cost of living adjustment in October. That adjustment is based on CPI-W, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners, measured specifically during July, August, and September. The official 2027 COLA won't be announced until October, but independent analysts track the monthly inflation data as it comes in, and they publish early estimates throughout the year so that retirees can see which direction things are heading. This week, those estimates jumped significantly. As of May 2026, the CPI-W is running at 4.4% year over year. That's the highest reading in 3 years, driven primarily by energy costs. Gasoline and utility prices are up sharply due to geopolitical pressures, and food prices continue to climb faster than the headline numbers suggest. Mary Johnson, an independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst who has tracked COLA calculations for decades, updated her estimate on Thursday to 4.7% and noted, there is a considerable likelihood it could climb higher as data continues to come in. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior advocacy organization, is currently projecting 3.8%. To put those numbers in context, the 2026 COLA was 2.5%, which added approximately $50 to the average monthly benefit. A 4.7% COLA in 2027 would add approximately $98 to the average monthly benefit, nearly double this year's increase. On a benefit of $2,500, it would add $117 per month. On a benefit of $1,500, it would add $70. Here's the important nuance, and this is the part I want you to actually remember. A higher COLA is more dollars in your pocket, and when you stack it on top of the tax exemption that kicks in this July, seniors 65 and older are looking at a genuine 1-2 improvement in net take-home income. Heading into 2027, the check goes up with the COLA, and less of that check goes out to federal taxes because of the exemption. Both of those things are happening at the same time, and that combination is meaningful. According to a survey released this week by the Senior Citizens League, 44% of retirees, 24.8 million Americans, now depend on Social Security for 100% of their income. That number was 39% just 1 year ago. In that environment, 2 simultaneous improvements to Social Security net income matter enormously for real household budgets across the country. The practical takeaway on the COLA, the 2027 adjustment is shaping up to be significantly larger than this year's. That is good news in dollar terms, and it compounds the benefit already coming from the tax exemption. But the official number won't be set until October, and 5 more months of inflation data, July, August, and September specifically, will determine the final calculation. If the current inflation trend continues, the adjustment will be meaningful. If energy prices stabilize, it could come in lower. Watch for the official announcement in October. In the meantime, knowing that the trajectory is upward is useful context for any financial planning you're doing right now. So here's the summary for this week. Starting this July, the senior tax exemption activated under the One Big Beautiful Bill begins delivering real, measurable relief to Social Security recipients 65 and older by eliminating federal income tax on benefits for the vast majority of recipients. If you have voluntary withholding set up with SSA, check it now and submit a new Form W-4V to stop leaving money on the table every month. And the 2027 COLA is currently projected at 3.8 to 4.7% based on May inflation data, which would nearly double this year's dollar increase. The final number won't be set until October, but the direction is clear. 2 pieces of good news in 1 week for seniors on Social Security. Make sure the people in your life who depend on this income hear about both. Subscribe. Share this with someone who depends on Social Security, and I'll see you in the next one.